The nature of Or Makif, though, the encompassing light, is that it doesn't enable a detailed avoida, an internal avoida, but it does affect a general bitul, a general subduedness. Today is the 8th of Teives, Tafshin Pei Daled. It should be Plaos de Gulos. I want to make a little chazara to bring us back into the context of the discussion, and also to encourage chazara. It's always something we need to do. We are in Kuf Ein Beis in the Maimar Yehuda Ata Yoducha Achecha. That's from Parashas Vayechi. Omnam tzarich lehavin. That's where we are holding. But I want to do chazara so we can get back to remembering what we are talking about. Just the last couple of Maimarim. And for that, go to page Tafshin Pei Vav, at the end of the book, of the last edition, where you have the Tochen HaInyanim. I recommend to get this book. And we learned about, in the Maimar of Ner Chanukah, we learned about the Neshama, that the Neshama is Ner Havaya Nishmas Adam, that the Neshama is compared to fire, and which is Shoresh HaOr, and then the Mahus of the Neshama is Ruach, Neshama and Ruach, Moechin and Midos, Esh and Ruach. We spoke about the Hamshacha mala lemata, lemata lemaila. Bottom line, in Avoida, at the end of that Maimar, in Avoida, look at page Tafshin Pei Vav, V'inyano ba'avoida. It's like the third small paragraph from the top. V'inyano ba'avoida she'alas hanitzotz ha'eloki b'vchinas rish pei esh. I think I'm going to translate it directly, but this is where we are holding. That elevating the godly spark in a Jewish soul, so this spark will turn into flames of fire to awaken that fire. This is done through his orerus of Ruach Eloki shemitnotzetz baneshama. This is done milemaila, through a divine spirit that sparkles in the neshama and incites it. And this is what the Rebbe called this kashrus retzon haneshama bimkor chotzva beelokus. This awakening of the divine spirit, awakening of the neshama by the divine spirit, is awakening the kashrus, the attachment of the ratzon. I don't like to translate ratzon will. Its will is not a full translation. Ratzon is really an innate, essential desire and inclination of the neshama. So this awakening from above is awakening these kashrus of the ratzon or the neshama to be attached to the source from where she's coming. Because without that, the esh of the nefesh ha'elokis, the esh of the neshama of the soul, would be put out and extinguished by the ruach, the wind, the coarse air of the nefesh habahamis. The nefesh habahamis would overcome this sense of godliness within the soul of a person. And therefore, the soul needs an awakening from above to reawaken every time and every day this desire to attach itself to its source. Kaf Ches, Uviu Ha'inyan. To explain it, the Rebbe explained that the awakening of the neshama to want to be included and subsumed and merged with the above, or that's going up, milamata lamaila, to be expire and leave its keli and be merging into the divine, or the opposite, lachpotz b'kiyum haTorah mitzvos lemata, or desiring to learn Torah and do mitzvos down here. Both, whether it's about the neshama wanting to expire and to leave the body and the physical world behind and merge with divinity, or the other way, to remain here in this world and bring divinity down to Torah and mitzvahs, both do not come because of the nature of the neshama. First of all, especially to the desire to do Torah and mitzvahs in this world, it's not the natural condition of the neshama because of the nature and the reality of this world. So Mima Nafshach, both of them, the Rebbe says here, he doesn't bring it in the Kitzur, but the Rebbe says both of them regarding the wish to bring a lakus down, to do Torah and mitzvahs. It's not the natural desire of the nefesh in this world, because this world has a lot of attractive powers that engage the person and the awareness of the soul in many other subjects, and to be immersed in kiyum Torah mitzvahs lemata, it's not the natural positioning of the neshama in this world. And so too, going and bichlal, if you're talking about that the nature of the neshama is to attach itself to its source, then staying in this world and doing Torah and mitzvahs is opposite its nature. And if you say, well, it's the nature of the neshama is to desire to attach itself to God. Well, it's true, but when the neshama is in this world and in a nefesh habahamis and in a guf, it doesn't feel that desire anymore. So being in this world covers up this natural desire of the neshama to unify with God. So either way, how you look at it, mitzad the nature of the neshama, it doesn't want to be here. It wants to be the essence of the nature of the neshama. It wants to be one with God, not to be in this physical world and deal with physical things and klippos and yetzahara and so on. Definitely not its nature. And if you talk about the reality of the neshama once it's in this world, then it doesn't feel its nature to attach itself to God. What it feels is to deal with this world and maneuver and manipulate as much as it can to feel good. So therefore, minayin haratzon b'hamshacha lemata, asks the Rebbe, from where does she get the soul gets the will to bring a lakus down? And also, since the Allah is also not its nature in being in this world, because the wish to go up is only when the nature is felt, but when it's covered up with klipa and with nefesh bahamis and all these things. And the keli in this world is very strong rather than the or. And the teva of the keli, that it schleps you down. The teva of the or is it goes up. And therefore, what enables the neshama to go in both ways, whether it is to want to leave the body behind and merge with the lakus, or to stay in this world, that's the ratzo, or to stay in this world, the shuv, and to do Torah and mitzvahs, the reason is oirus milamayla. It's without that awakening from above, the neshama wouldn't go not up and not down, being in this world. And this is vehu inyan, said the Rebbe, of Aaron madlik es haneros. Aaron lighting the candles of the menorah of Neshamas Israel, so they will be in a manner of ratzoi. Aaron participates in the avodah of the Jewish people to maintain the tnuah of ratzo, to maintain the tnuah of ava rabba, of the wish to to be elevated and ascend and unify with godliness. Klalus achayus banivraim. Generally, the life force, the way the divine life force operates in all creations is in the manner of ratzon v'shov, back and forth, מלמטה למעלה, מלמטה למעלה, from up down and from down up. And so too in Nefesh Adam, in a Yid. But in the Nefesh Adam, of course, it's on a higher level. So what is this awakening? How this awakening is described? והוא עניין וישכם לבן בבוקר. That Lavan got up early in the morning. Lavan represents Loven ha'elyon, the divine whiteness, which means infinity, Keser. And from this, there is an awakening, a waking call, how do you call it? An alarm clock, ringing, divine alarm clock every morning, early in the morning, that from the Loven ha'elyon, from Keser, from Or Ein Sof, that throws a spark over every soul, שמזה מתעורר בכל בוקר לעבוד הווי. That from this every person awakens fresh every morning, and he gets also a new fresh inspiration to serve Hashem. And from this nimshach also the strength of the ratzo in Ava Rabba. So both things are inspired. One is to stay here and do the avoida, and the other is also to be inspired, to be elevated and ascend and merge in Elokus. So all this comes from Koach Elyon, from a higher power that helps, that does both, that on one hand awakens the soul, that the soul is now able to again engage in the avodah of Ratzoi, of igniting the Ahava to Hashem and the wish to be freed from its coarseness in this world and to unite with the Elokus, as well as the opposite Nuah of staying in the world and milemala lemata, bringing Or Ein Sof into the world, through Torah and mitzvahs. And also this awakening, this Nesinas Koach is an awakening that also helps to balance them both. Because if we don't have the right balance, then either we are too much in a manner of Ratzoi, like God forbid Nadav and Avihu, that left completely, or we are too much in a manner of Shuv, without enough inspiration. And then a person can get lost in all the intricacies of the performance of mitzvahs, for instance, and be very careful and obsessive, compulsive in the performance of mitzvahs, but he lost the inspiration and the fact that this is just a channel through which he's connecting to God, and the most important thing is the relationship with God. That's the pnimius of it. So in order to have a balance, not to sink too much in the shuv, and not to get lost too much in the ratzoi, this is helping to create the right balance. Chavtes. However, it's only an awakening, as we learned. It doesn't take place the avoida. It doesn't come in play instead of, and it doesn't replace the avoida. Ikara avoida is bekoach atzmo davka. We are getting into a long discussion that will be called, also will be the peak of it, a discussion of the difference between the avoida of a ben and avoida of Eved. The avoida of a son and avoida of a servant in the relationship to Hashem. But bottom line is the statement that the Rebbe is making, the ikar avoida bekoach atzmo davka. The main service, the main avoida, the main practice of serving God is bekoach atzmo davka, is with one's own power. It's not this awakening that makes it happen. This just wakes him up that he can do it, but he has to function. וכאן הוא עניין של התעוררות מלמעלה. This is only an awakening. This awakening is only a chana, is only a preparation for the avodah that has to follow, and his own yigia, his own labor, his own toil. Because the is'orus, in a very short time, passes and fades away. And therefore, a person has to catch it and to immediately invest it into a yegia, into the effort that he initiates for avoida pnimis, an inner kind of avoida, of service, which entails his boinanus, meaning being aware and being focused and knowing one's goal, and reflecting and having in mind what we are dealing with in terms of who God is and what am I doing here in relation to Him. And all this with the goal to create Ava V'yira, to create a personal relationship with God, which will include the love of God and the fear of God in a balanced way. So we learn that without this Lavan Ha'elyon, without this Lavan Ha'elyon, without this Is'orus Melamayla, a person cannot misboinen, cannot reflect, reflect and internalize this inyan, this inyanim, divinity. And Mikol Sheken, maybe he can understand some concepts, maybe he can. But lavo la'ava v'yira, to come that from these concepts it will become real, that means that it will produce personal feelings that will lead to personal reaction. Oh, that you need this orus melamayla. You need that divine assistance in the beginning, because otherwise, mitzad ha'agshama, because of the coarseness of the condition of the soul in this world, it wouldn't be able to do all this all by her own. V'tzarech le'oyer, the Rebbe says, rachamim rabim. We need to awaken divine compassion all the time. To please help me to wake me up. Please wake me up. Please, send me this spark that I can catch it and create my fire. I need your pilot light. And al yedei is'orus yuchal la'avod avodaso. With this Lavan Ha'elyon, he can do his avodah. But this is'orus itself is only b'bchinas makif, remains makif. And that means that eina shayeches la'avoda b'po'al b'birur hamidos. Makif means that even though there is a divine inspiration, it is not internalized, and because it affects the person, but in a super conscious way, and it's not internalized. Because of that, eina shayeches, it's not shayach, doesn't apply to refine the midos with this kind of makif, because the way to change is only, as we will learn more and more in the Maimar, is only through Or Pnimi. Or makif doesn't elevate the keli, the person, to change and to become on the level of the Or. It affects the person, but not in a manner of an internalized way that the person really changes to reach the level. It can be an esinas koyach, it can help, definitely. It helps, it affects, but it doesn't change the person to acquire the level of that light. For that, for real change, we need Or Pnimi. That means internal, immanent light that can be internalized, we can be aware of it, we internalize it and we work with it, and then we do change, and we can be refining ourselves. So the nature of Or Makif, though, the encompassing light, is that it doesn't enable a detailed avodah. an internal avoida, but it does affect a general bitul, a general, how do you say bitul? Subduedness, a certain acknowledgement, general acknowledgement and awareness or of a humble awareness of the presence of Hashem and the meaning of what Hashem is and what it means to me. So it accomplishes the or makif, affects a person by creating a general bitul, that the person can have a little bitul to start bringing in something. Otherwise, we are just full with ourselves and we don't have room for anything else but ourselves. So a general bitul, it does affect the or makif. But in a conscious way to change the person, no. This is not the case when we talk about Torah. Torah is or pnimi, and Torah is beislapshus. Torah can be internalized. Torah can be invested. And Torah affects a birur, a refinement, an elevation in the nefesh habahamis, like avoida with the moyach and with the lev. Va'adrabah, even more so, Torah can affect the person even higher. Which means the Torah has an effect on the person like an avoida has an effect on the person. But even more than that, because the avoida of a person is milamata lamayla, and after all it will be limited. Torah affects us, which we internalize it changes us, it involves our engagement. However, because Torah is milamala lamata, it can even change us more. And this is the difference between, I'm the last paragraph on Tafshin Pei Vav. This is the difference between the hisorerus of Loven Elyon, the awakening of the divine whiteness, the divine infinity, שהוא רק הכנה לעבודה, that awakening from Or and Sof, that which is only a preparation for avoda. This is the difference between Lavan Elyon and this Orerus of Ava Rabba de Aaron. We learn that there is a difference. This Orerus of Lavan Elyon is only an alarm clock and that wakes you up, and what we'll do after, that's your business. It doesn't make you do anything. It just wakes you up. And versus his Orerus of Ava Rabba of Aaron, when he lights the candles, that's different. That's part of the avoida of awakening the great love to Hashem. And we need to understand it. So it itself, this avoida, is a great avoida. It's avoida nales, very high level avoida. It is called avoidas matana. It's avoida, but it's also matana. It's a gift, because it's an avoida that is very much inspired from above, but it's still avoida. And this is also the difference between, if you remember, we learned between the Chanukas HaNesiim, the Chanukas HaMizbeach of all the Nisim of the Shvatim, the leaders of the tribes, שהוא עניין החנה ונשינס כוח. That was just the Chanukas HaBayis, when we get together to celebrate the dedication of a home, a house, in Chanukas HaMizbeach. Or when we take the child to Cheder first time, remember? It's also Chanukah, it's a chinuch. So that is only Nesinas Koyach. It's only Yachana and Nesinas Koyach. However, the Adlakas Haneros of Aaron, that is already part of the Avoida. And you can say that it's a part of Avoida Pnimis, Bizboinenus. That comes Bekoyach Aaron, and we are learning about it now. Ya'aroch oto and A'alos et haneros. Let's go a little bit further. We went a little bit further. We are now on page Tafshin Pei Zayin, and we are in the Chazara, Seif Lamed. To explain more the difference between the awakening of Lavana Elyon, which is only Hachana, only a preparation for Avodah, and the Orerus of Ava Rabba of Aaron, the priest, the high priest. which is the Hi Atzmai Avodah Na'ales, which is not a Chana, this is not, the lighting of the candles of Aaron is not a preparation for Avodah. It is Avodah of a high level. Even though both come from Atzmus Or Ein Sof, Sai Lavan Elyon, Lavan is white. White means no color, means infinity, formless. So that's Ein Sof, Or Ein Sof. And what is Aaron HaKohen, the high priest, also represents Or Ein Sof. So if both of them bringing Or Ein Sof, Aaron HaKohen is representing Keser, Arich, and even higher. And here in this context, both are coming, both the Lavan Elyon, this Oirus in the morning of Lavan Elyon, as well as the lighting of the menorah of Aaron, both bring light from the essence of Or Ein Sof, Or Ein Sof itself. So what's the difference? There are chilukim, the Rebbe says, there are differences in the manner of the Hamshacha from above down, in the manner how it comes down. And what's the difference? There's a difference between Ha'ara Sheba Bislabshus Ba'olamos Lefi Yarkam. There's a difference between a divine radiance that comes in a manner of investment in being invested in the worlds according to their ability to contain it. That is Ha'ara from Or Ein Sof. That can only happen with Ha'ara, with a radiance from Or Ein Sof. But Or Ein Sof itself, Atzmus Or Ein Sof, it shines in the worlds only in the manner of Makif, because it's Ein Sof and the worlds are finite. And therefore, even though that light is there in the worlds all the time, the Or Makif of Or Ein Sof, but the worlds do not become like Or Ein Sof. They don't get refined by that. Then we have, that is a Makif, Or Ein Sof, regarding all the worlds that are created, and it's always affecting the worlds in a manner that the worlds are not aware of, beginning with bringing them to existence. Or Ein Sof, Or HaSovev, brings every creation to existence, yesh me'ayin. Do we feel it? No. So Or Ein Sof is here, and it's makif, and it's very important, very effective, but not in an eternalized way. And therefore, it doesn't change. It affects, but doesn't change. We have another way to reveal Or Makif, because this the Or Makif that we spoke now is not revealed, but there is a way to bring Or Makif to be revealed, to be able to be revealed, and that is al yedei mitzvahs, through mitzvahs we learn. However, mitzvahs that are compared to levushim, right, to garments, that makif surrounds the body, that represents makif. So mitzvahs bring down Or Makif. But still, it doesn't mean that mitzvah, when you do a mitzvah, automatically this Or Makif changes you. No, it just mesayea, the Rebbe says. It helps you, it assists you, that you will be able to do an avodah with that assistance and refine yourself, which is not the case in the Or Makif that is there in terms of the creation of worlds, Or Ein Sof that is everywhere all the time, but it doesn't help at all to create an avodah, to begin to incite us or to assist us to begin an avodah. So we have two types of makif. We have both of them. Makif doesn't change a person. Only a person through avodah and dealing with Or Pnimi, working on his midos, and learning Torah, which is Or Pnimi, can change himself. But the Or Makif has an effect. How so? The Or Makif Bechlal that is in all the worlds, that is not Messiah, is not assisting for any avodah. It's not inspiring. It's there, it affects, and it enables the existence of the worlds, and so on and so forth, but it doesn't serve as an esinas koach, as an empowerment to begin an avoida, or to want to do an avoida, or to be inspired to do an avoida. Then comes the gilui or makif of mitzvahs. Mitzvahs bring down or makif that is still makif and doesn't replace avoida, that only avoida can really change and refine a person, change and refine, but it's po'el u'mesayeya. It affects the person in a manner of nesinas koyach, empowerment. It helps and assists the person to do his avoida. And then there is also makif, we learn, shenimshach bepnimius. Still, the or of the mitzvah is still makif. But there are instances and times, special times, and special situations, and special activities, when the or makif is nimshach bepnimius. The encompassing light, the superconscious light, is nimshach, is drawn into pnimius, into the keli, and is internalized. Like Shabbos. And we learned about neshama yesera, there's an extra soul. Also Torah. But this doesn't happen automatically. It's not that automatically you light the candle, Shabbos comes in, and now the or makif is nimshach bepnimius, and you are different. No. It can happen only following zichur. That's why Shabbos follows 6 days of work. You know, the halacha is if one, God forbid, gets lost in the desert and he doesn't know anymore what day of the week it is, so he has to count 6 days and make Shabbos. Why not starting with Shabbos and then count 6 days? Make the day that you lost, you want to know what day it is, you don't know, or make Shabbos, Adabah. Make Shabbos, and that will, make all the, no, count 6 days, that's halacha. And then make Shabbos. Because to be able to internalize that light, that on Shabbos, yes, that light can become pnimi, can be internalized. However, la'acharei zichur, only after work of refinement that you did during the week. And then there are be'et ratzon. Shabbos is the et ratzon, is a time of divine will, of divine awakening of the divine ratzon. Take the word ratzon in a very deep and general way. Et ratzon, when Ratza banu, we say Ratza banu, Hashem wanted us. The divine will is awakened. So when can we take it? B'pnimius, only after zichur, only after refinement, work of refinement that we did with ourselves and with learning Torah. Otherwise, it remains makif on Shabbos. And therefore, some people, you'll find very different experience. People will share you Shabbos. I don't feel anything different. Extra neshama, but you feel extra strength. You can pick up, another 10 pounds in weights. I feel the same energy. Sometimes Shabbos I'm zanked. I'm so tired. I don't feel extra. So it depends what you did during the week. And this is the difference between this oirus of Lov and Elyon, which remains only in the manner of makif, to the Amshacha of Aaron HaKohen that comes after avoida of zichur, avoida and zichur. So his oirus that happens automatically every morning, there is an Amshacha from Lavan Elyon to awaken us, and we feel a fresh awakening that we can utilize and harness and apply in avoida. And that happens every morning. Whether we do something with it or not, but it remains makif, and the only way that something will happen with it is if we do some avoida, some work. But it itself remains makif. That Lavan Elyon. A person doesn't ascend to Lavan Elyon from this his oros in the morning. It doesn't ascend that level to that level. However, the Amshacha of Aaron, Ava Rabba of Aaron HaKohen, that comes after Avoida and Zichur, refinement, and is part of it, and comes following the Avoida and the self-refinement, that is part of that Avoida, and that is Amshacha that is part of that, and a reflection of that Avoida. I think this is more or less where we are holding, and maybe I went even a little bit further. This is the Tochen HaInyanim, the content of the Prakim, of the Mamarim. Then you have at the back page Taf Taf Lamed Aleph. That's where we began the Chazara more or less today. So it gives you until we got to Taf Taf Lamed Beis after the first paragraph. Vayechi bebiru b'tikun nefesh habahamis. Around there we are holding. So there you have it again. You can do another Chazara on the Rashi Prakim. It's only headlines from the different Maimarim. Even more Bekitzo, when you have another Chazara, you can do another Chazara by yourself. This is the context of where we are holding. And let's go back to page Kuf Ayin Beis. And even before that, now I want to make a specific Chazara on our Maimar. Even though we presented the topic with our Maimar. We are learning the Maimar of Parashas Vayechi in Taf Reish Samech Vov from the Rebbe Rashab. Yehuda, ata yoducha achecha, yadcha be'oref oibecha. Yehuda, your brothers will acknowledge you, and your hands will be holding the neck of your enemy, seizing the neck of your enemy. So the Rebbe asks questions. First of all, why it says Yehuda, ata yoducha achecha? What's ata? Yehuda, achecha yoducha Yehuda, or Yehuda, achecha yoducha. What is ata? Yehuda, your brothers will thank you. So what is this ata? Then the Rebbe asked, what do you mean that Yehuda, his brothers will acknowledge him? Yehuda is the lowest. Yehuda is Malchus. His brothers, Reuven and Shimon and Levi, is either Chochma bin Adas or Chesed Gvura Tiferes. Yehuda is Malchus, is the lowest. How come his brothers who are higher have to acknowledge him? Chochma and Bina have to acknowledge Malchus? Yeducha means, Hoda means also submission. Also, what does it mean that your hand will seize the neck of your enemies? It's a very auspicious question. What does it mean that your hand will seize the neck of your enemies? And also, what's the connection between the two? What's the connection between your brothers have to acknowledge you and submit themselves to you, subject themselves to you, to the fact that you will seize the neck of your enemies? And what's the connection? So to understand that, we learn that the Ratza of the Neshama, page Kuf Samach Tes, the beginning of this Maimar, the first paragraph, that the Ratza of the Neshama, the awakening of the Neshama to go up and to be merging with the divine is done through Koyach Elyon, the He'ara, the radiance from Lovan Elyon, from the divine whiteness, that awakens the soul to love God. Nevertheless, the Ratzo itself, that Noah of the soul to leave the coarse reality of the physicality and to merge with Elokus, is done b'koach asma. That is to be done with the power of one own self and one own toil. And the koach elyon is only awakening. But following that, a person has to toil in creating a ratzon, in really creating a movement, a drive in his heart that will drive him to direct all his activities and engagements in a manner that will unify him with the divine. But this awakening is not avoida at all. It's not replacing avoida, and it's not similar to the Ava Rabba of Aaron HaKohen, that he is mashpia on us. That this also comes milamaila, but the Ava Rabba of Aaron HaKohen, that is at the avoida itself. It's not a preparation, that avoida itself, but the awakening of Alav Elyon is not avoida. And the avoida is only bekoach atzmo, with one's own power. Next paragraph. The Rebbe explained more what's the difference. Both come from Ein Sof, as we said. Or Ein Sof, Atzmus or Ein Sof. Both Loben HaElyon and the Adlakas Hanoros of Aaron Kahana Rabbah. Both come from Atzmus or Ein Sof. So why the Ha'ara of Loven HaElyon, in the bottom last line of this page, why the Ha'ara of Loven HaElyon is only an awakening, an alarm clock, while the Amshacha of Aaron is Avoida Mamash, page Kuf Ein. Adraba, even Na'ales Yoter, a higher level of Avoida. The idea is, the Rebbe says, that even though everything is coming, both come from Atzmus or Ein Sof, nevertheless, there is a difference in the way they come down. Kuf Ein Va'inyan. So now the Rebbe went through a whole description, which I think you prepared the review questions, Ruchama, if I remember correctly. How the Or Eloki that is nimshach in the world, that is drawn into the world in a manner of gilui, or in a manner, gilui means hislapshus, they're almost synonyms. Gilui, revealed, means hislapshus, that it's invested and closed in. So we learned it's only a arach chitzonis. It's only an external radiation from Or Ein Sof, from the infinite light of God, because Atzmus Or Ein Sof itself is not be'erech, is ein aroch, is incomparable to the worlds completely. And when Atzmus Or Ein Sof and Or Ein Sof is revealed, there's no room for worlds at all, no possibility for existence of worlds. And therefore, a tzimtzum was needed. What is a tzimtzum? Complete siluk, removal of the light. Really, it's removal of the revelation of the light. So now there's no light revealed anymore. Or Ein Sof is gone, so to speak. It's not revealed. Following that, the tzimtzum, a curve is drawn, a line. What is the curve? An external radiation from Or Ein Sof. Even though its root is from that Or Ein Sof before the tzimtzum, nevertheless, it's drawn through the tzimtzum. And because of that, now it's only an external, limited radiance, which is complete from Or Ein Sof, but it's completely already incomparable to Or Ein Sof itself before the tzimtzum. Through this aspect of this external radiation from Or Ein Sof, all the worlds are coming to existence. And this curve is what is invested in the worlds to animate them. He'ara chitzonis levad, only an external radiation from Or Ein Sof. Now, not only that, so now the Rebbe is describing exactly the gradual descent and diminishing and concealment of Or Ein Sof. It begins with the kav. The kav is only an external radiance from Or Ein Sof. So the kav is already a compromise, big compromise. But what about the kav itself? This kav is the elokus of the life force of all the worlds. Now this kav itself is only mislabesh. Give me another word for mitlabesh. Unmute. Give me another word for mislabesh, please.
Gilui,
Gilui.
misgal.
Very good. This kav, which is already an external radiation of Or and Sof, is only mislabesh, which means only begilui, in the oilamos ha'ein sof shelemala ma'atzilus, in the worlds of infinity higher than Atzilus, in Arich, in Atik, in Adam Kadmon, but not in Atzilus. In Atzilus, you don't even have the Or of the kav itself anymore. בעולם האצילוס מאיר what? Only ha'aras hakav. In Atzilus, only a radiance from the light of the kav shines. So now we have like this. We have the kav, which is a radiance from Or and Sof. The kav is revealed after the Tzimtzum in Adam Kadmon, in Keser. But then in Atzilus, the kav itself is not revealed anymore. Like in the kav, after the Tzimtzum, Or and Sof itself is not revealed anymore, or the radiance from it. So too in Atzilus, only a radiance from the kav shines, is Begilui. Only a radiance. And this Ha'ara ends in Malchus of Atzilus. Then comes the created worlds, Biyah, Vayechi and Asiya. They don't even have the Ha'ara of the kav. They don't have even the radiance of the light of the kav, what Atzilus says. They only have the Metzius of Elokus. They know their awareness, their knowledge of divinity, of godliness is only that it is, but not what it is anymore. It's Yedias HaMetzius, Yedias of its existence, but not Yedias HaMahus, not knowledge of what it is. Because in Atzilus, the Rebbe says, at least the Ziv, the external light, but it's external, but it's still the light of the kav. It's radiance, but at least the radiance of the kav still shines. But in Biyah, none. Okay. So that's how it is so far, that in Atzilus shines the Ziv and the Ha'ara. We learned that Ziv and Or is the light itself, and the Ziv is the aspect of the light that is perceived. So that's the external aspect of the light. The Shayach is in every light is the light itself, Etzem Or, it's the Or itself. You can start with Etzem Or, where it's connected to it, the Ma'or, the luminary. Then you have the Or itself. It's like in Sha'ar HaYichud, it will be like Keser, Chochma, and Bina, or Omek, Rochav, and Orech in Sha'ar HaYichud, right? So that's in the light as well, that the essence of the light is where it's connected to its source. Then you have the light itself. And then you have how the light interacts with Azulas, with the other, with the Makabel, with the Keli. So that's the external aspect of the light. So in Atzilus, it's not the light of the kav anymore itself, it's a radiance, a ara from the kav. But it's still Ha'ara from the kav itself. It's still the Mahus Ha'or. It's still the light itself. Lemata me'atzilus, lower than Atzilus, there is no Gilui of Or HaKav at all. Not the Or itself and not its Ziv. Not Ha'ara from it. Or the Rebbe says in Kav or Or, there is Etzem and Ispashtus. So Etzem Ha'or shines higher than Atzilus, and the Ispashtus, the manifestation of the light, the extension of the light, shines in Atzilus. In Biyah, Lo Yireni Adam V'chai, even the angels that carry the chariot, they don't see the divine glory in a manner of seeing what it is, Yedias HaMahus. Only Yedias HaMetzius, only that it is. This is the condition in Biyah. And in Biyah itself, as we go down, Holechu Misma'et Ha'or, the light diminishes and diminishes until in the lower creations, even the Metzius of Elokus is not shining. Even though there is godliness in every creation, nevertheless, in the lower worlds, they don't even feel that. Which means we can feel that we are alive, but we have no awareness that the life force that is obvious in the world, we see that there are beings that are alive, then trees that grow and animals that are alive, and we human beings, we feel the life of this world, but we don't associate it with the Elokus. Because in the higher world, says the Rebbe, where they sense that the Chayos is Elokus, there is Yedias HaMetzius at least. At least they know that I feel Chayos, that's Elokus. I don't know what it is, but I know it's Elokus. And therefore they cannot act in any way but in accordance and in alignment with Elokus. But Lemata, down here, it's not at all nirgash anymore. It's not sensed that our life is godliness. So we find that the light and the or and the chayos lemata and the radiance from the kav is so diminished until it's not sensed at all. And that's how the or pnimi works. It diminishes. So what is left? We are in the darkness. We don't even have Yedias HaMetzius. And what is left is very little, tiny trace of revelation of our Eloki. And what about Or Ein Sof itself? It remains all in a manner of soiver, of makif, not in a manner of islapshus. Kuf Ein Aleph. I don't think we will go weiter, but we will at least did Chazara, and Imot Hashem we will continue next week. But let's finish here. Now, what does it mean the Or Ein Sof itself remains soiver? It doesn't mean that it surrounds the worlds and it's not in the worlds, God forbid. It is inside all the worlds. It's inside all creations. Et hashamayim v'ha'aretz ani maleh. I feel the heaven and the earth. Adrabah, it's ikar hachayus. Our main existence, our main life is the Or HaSoiver. But it's not b'vchinas islabshus, not begilui. And what's the result of it? The fact that it's not begilui means that it cannot poel shum ilui ba'olamos. It cannot affect any refinement. It cannot cause any elevation in the worlds that they should ascend and acquire the Maila of the light. It is so removed that it doesn't affect the worlds in a manner that they change. And it's not like Or Pnimi. Or Pnimi does affect a refinement and elevation in the creations. So regarding Or Pnimi, the creation will acquire the level of the light that it is internalized. And the creation will change according to the level of the Or Pnimi, how much it shines. And we see that there are chilukim in the worlds. There's Hatzilus is higher than Bria, and Bria higher than Yetzirah, and so on. That means that there are differences in the Gilui of our Eloki. There are different levels of Or Pnimi. How much is revealed? And so too, regarding the Esosferos. There are higher spheres and lower spheres. There are always Chiluke Madregas, different levels, Mala and Mata, higher and lower. And that's why Pnimi is represented by a line. Because there is higher and lower. Makif is represented by a circle. There is no higher or lower. So B'Ksad Or Makif, even though it shines in all the worlds and in all creations, there is no effect that causes a change in the worlds and in creation that will refine them and make them acquire the level of that light. Why? Because Ein Lo Mislabesh Bahem. It's not invested, it's not b'pnimius, and it's not nirgash, it's not sensed, so they cannot work with it. So nimtza, that what shines begilu in the worlds, which means what comes b'islapshus, which is gilui, is only an external radiance from Or Ein Sof, which is Or Pnimi, but Atzmus, which is b'bchinas makif, Ein Lo ba begilui. doesn't come in a revealed manner. That's in principle regarding to how the worlds were set up, how they were created. Now the Rebbe said, Mikol Makom, page Kuf Ein Aleph, nevertheless, so you might think, okay, we are lost. We never have contact with Or HaSoibeb anymore. We only have access to limited Or, not to Atzmus Or, only radiance. Nevertheless, says the Rebbe, there are also Giluim, revelations of Oros Makifim in the world. Don't think that the worlds are doomed. No, there are revelations of Oros Makifim. How? Kemo al yedei mitzvahs. Doing mitzvahs bring down Gilui of Or Makif. Mitzvahs are the divine Ratzon. And Ratzon is Or Makif. That is brought down, the divine Ratzon is brought down through mitzvahs. So through mitzvahs, Nimshach Or Makif, an encompassing light upon the soul and surrounds the soul. This is Gilui B'chinas HaMakif. However, the Rebbe says, there are differences in the manner of Gilui. Through mitzvahs, even though we bring down Or Makif, but it remains Makif, like Tefillin. The Rebbe gave the example of Tefillin, that we put it on Tefillin in Mamshich, Daled Moichin Elyon, in the divine brain, so to speak, the higher Spheros, the Chabad, or Kachab, but you see that Tefillin sticks out from the head, because Eino Nichnas, it is not Nichnas, B'chinas Gilui Mamash Ba'adam, it remains Makif, and therefore they exceed the head, they are boilet, they protrude out of the head. And so too in the other mitzvahs. And therefore, regarding doing mitzvahs, even though by doing mitzvahs, Or Makif shines upon the person, it doesn't mean that it automatically makes a person, changes a person, and lifts up and elevates the person to be the same like the level of this light. The fact that he's mamshich this light doesn't mean yet that he is changing. Even though a person is elevated, is affected, he is affected by it. You can see the person, let's say beginning of the week, met a Chabad Bachor on the street, and he asked, you want to put tefillin? Are you Jewish? Okay, surrender, put on tefillin. What happened with it? He's mamshich or makif. It will affect him. For instance, maybe Shabbos will come in. He never keeps Shabbos, but says, you know what? At the end of the block, there's a shul. Maybe I should go stick my head and see what do they do on Shabbos. Maybe I'll join and see what's going on there. You know, where did it come from? It came from this putting tefillin on Monday, but there's no. It affects the putting the mitzvah effect, but not in a manner that changes the person, that now he is already changed and refined and elevated to be on this level of that light. So what's the difference between the light that we bring down through mitzvah and the makif of Or and Sof that is in the world all the time? The light has Or HaSoibeb that is in the world all the time, the Etzem Or and Sof that brings all the worlds to existence and so on. That is not serving as any help to a person. But the light of the Or HaMakif that the mitzvahs, when you do a mitzvah, it brings down, Mesayeh lo. It's still not internalized and not changed, didn't change the person like Avodah or Torah can change, but Mesayeh lo. It is an empowerment. It is an assistance sheyuchal lis'alot b'ma'alar madrega. Once you do a mitzvah, the mitzvah helps you that now, if you choose, you can now elevate yourself and acquire a higher level. And this will have to come through avodah and yegiah dafka. Now a page Kuf Ein base. But this is only when a person is working on himself and investing himself. In Yiddishkeit, that the doing the mitzvah will help him to refine himself. In mitzvah alone, it's not going to happen. But if he decides to do something with it, then the mitzvah will help. Sometimes the Rebbe says, there is a makif that shines b'pnimius. Like, there are special et ratzon, there are special times of et ratzon, but Shabbos, the Rebbe gives Shabbos. Shabbos makif shines b'pnimius. That's why we don't put tefillin on Shabbos, because tefillin is all makif that cannot be automatically internal, cannot be begilui. Shabbos, the makif is shining b'pnimius, and therefore you don't put tefillin. Tefillin protrudes, but here Shabbos, the makif can be internalized. And therefore, in Shabbos, there is an ilui, there is an elevation, there is an uplift in all the worlds and in all creations, that there are, for those who are sensitive to see it, there are mis'aleh, they are ascending to a higher level, as known that Bayom HaShvi'i, on the seventh day, nis'ala v'yashav al kisei kevodo, as in Birkas Yotzer l'Shabbos, Hashem was lifted up, so to speak, lift himself up and sits and sat on his throne of glory. That what's kisei? Kisei is kisei kvodo, kelim of bria. Kisei bria is called the world of the kisei, the world of the throne. The Elokus lowers itself. Amatzilus is like Elokus is standing, and bria is like Elokus is sitting down, which means lowers itself, the Olam HaKisei. And Shabbos, the Kelim of Bria are ascending to the level of Atzilus, and therefore the light of Atzilus shines in Bria on Shabbos. Like a person, and also the person Lamata, the Rebbe says. The Avodah on Shabbos is the Avodah of a greater love, Ava Rabba. Why? Because there is a Meir Gilui of our Makif. On Shabbos there is a Gilui of our Makif. And Mimele, all beings are elevated, are ascending on a higher level. And the avodah that we do on Shabbos is in a higher level. And this is the inyan of Neshama Yesera on Shabbos, the extra Neshama of Shabbos, that we need to understand what it is. And for that we began in Ara 38 in Torah or Parashas Vayechi. What is Shabbos? And what is the Neshama Yesera on Shabbos? You remember, we learned about the Ratzon Lemata Min HaSechel, Ratzon Lemala Min HaSechel. We'll review it next time. So Shabbos, there is the Gilui of Or Makif Bepnimius. And another thing is through Torah. Torah also makes it possible that the Or Makif will be Begili Bepnimius. So one thing is Shabbos, which we have to understand more, that the Or Makif is Begilui. Another way is Torah. In Torah, Or Makif is Nimshach Begilui Bepnimius. Why? Because Torah is rooted in Pnimius and Atmos Or and Sof. And even though Torah comes out from Chochmah, Torah is a divine wisdom, nevertheless it only comes out from Chochmah. But its shoresh, its root, is in the Ratzon HaElyon, in Keser. And Torah is Pnimius. Torah is called food, mazon. We can ingest and digest it. Torascha besoch me'ai. Your Torah is in my intestine, in my digestive system. And this is the Or Makif shines through Torah b'vchinas pnimius. We need to understand how it is possible, and that's the question that the Rebbe asks in the next paragraph. Omnam tzarich lavin ha'ech efshar sha'or makif ya'ir b'vchinas pnimi. How is it possible that the Or Makif will shine בפנימיוס internally? והלא הנבראים אינם יכולים לקבל כי אם בחינס אור מצומצם. Isn't it that the creation can only receive and contain and digest a limited light? How is it possible to digest, to internalize unlimited light? Oh, for that is the next paragraph, and more than that. But before that, we began last time the Ara in Torah Or, but what is the Neshama Yesera of Shabbos, on Shabbos? And we are in the middle of that, so next time we will continue straight. If you are willing, try to review and look yourself in Torah Or, Parashas Vayechi. I posted it, page 174, Parashas Vayechi, Pei Zayin. The beginning of it is Pei Zayin Amud Gimel, and now we are at the end of 174, which is Bezeu Inyan Shabbat Shabbaton Lehavai. Because in the beginning of the Maimar in Torah Or, Parshas Vayechi begins, Vayechi Moshe es kol adas bnei Israel. Moshe gathered all the congregation of the Jewish people. Vayomer alehem v'gomer, and he spoke to them, and said, among other things, Sheshes yamim ta'aseh melacha, 6 days you will do work, uvayom hashvi'i yeh lachem kodesh, and on the 7th day it should be holy, Shabbat Shabbaton lehavai. Shabbat Shabbaton, like a double Shabbos to Havai, Shabbat Shabbaton. So we began with explaining what is Shabbat in terms of the experience of the neshama and its relation to godliness, and we'll review it next time. And now we have to understand what is Shabbat Shabbaton, 2 times Shabbat.